Alright, so here we go. So taking a look at map A temperature patterns. So procedure A, step 1 says on map A, highlight or circle all the temperatures on the station models. So just to kind of give us a quick reference and quick kind of review, by taking a look at the station model, each one of the cities has a different station model. In this particular station model, as we can see, we have the temperature on the left-hand side. I'm using Winnipeg as an example. So this would be 27 degrees Celsius, or Fahrenheit rather. We also have the air pressure in the upper right-hand corner. We also have the amount of cloud cover, and we also have the wind direction. All right. So this one we're going to pay attention only to the. In this particular map, we're paying only attention to the temperature. So the first thing we have to do is we have to highlight all the temperatures on the station models. In doing this, I'm going to kind of change the procedure a little bit. We're going to just kind of do one step at a time, because what we're going to do is we're basically drawing isotherms, which are lines of equal temperature, in 10-degree intervals. So as I can see, my lowest temperature I have here is 30 degrees. My highest temperature is 80 degrees. So we are going to have a 30-degree line, a 40-degree line, a 50-degree line, a 60-degree line, a 70-degree line, and an 80-degree line. Alright. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with the lowest value, which is a 30-degree line. So taking a look, what I would do is grab a highlighter or a pencil. I prefer a highlighter because it kind of stands out. So let's highlight everywhere where you see 30 degrees. Okay, so looking on here, the fact that this is temperature, most of our, if it's coldest in the north, so you're going to see that's where all of our 30 degrees are. So once I have all those spots marked, I can start to connect my lines. All right. So when connecting isotherms on a map, especially with station models, make sure that you're connecting to the center of the station model. So they're connected 30s. I can see here between 27 and 34 would be 30, so I'm going to put like a little dot there to kind of show where 30 would be. And also I see that Sault Ste. Marie is 33 degrees, so I'm going to be above that line and kind of go all the way over until I get to farthest point. And then I'm going to stop. There's my, and I'm going to label that as my 30-degree isotherm. Alright, so the next one that we're going to do is a 40-degree line. So once again, take your highlighter, mark everywhere where you see 40 degrees. See 40 degrees in Seattle, 40 degrees in Butte, 40 degrees here in a no-name city, 40 degrees in Chicago, 40 in Buffalo, and that's it. Alright, so now that I can kind of start to see that pattern here, I have to kind of look to see where my other 40-degree lines would be. Make sure that when we're drawing this map or these lines that they always connect to the edge of the country. So I would hit Boston is 39, New York is 42, so 40 degrees would be in the middle. Alright, same thing right here. Between Minneapolis, actually between Minneapolis and this city right here would be 40 degrees, so that's where my line would be between. From there, connect all of my points, going to the edge of the country. Alright, so there's 40. In between Detroit and Sault Ste. Marie, I'm going to go above Detroit, and then right in between New York and Boston, and label that as my 40-degree isotherm. Alright, so next up is 50. So 50 degrees right here. I have 50 degrees in Kansas City, and that is it. Now this one is a little bit more tricky. So now, because we only have 250 degrees Celsius, I kind of have to go from west to east on the map, kind of paying attention to see where 50 would be. So 50 would be between Boise and Salt Lake City, so I'm just going to put a little dot there. It would be between Denver and this city right here. Obviously, Kansas City is 50 degrees. Between Detroit and Cincinnati, I'd put a little dot. But it's also going to dip down if I notice New York is so I see 42 here. Richmond is 45, but Hatteras here is 68. So that 50 is probably going to be squeezed in between there. So it's going to kind of dip between these cities. So starting from the west to east, I'm going to connect my lines. All right, connecting. And there is my 50-degree line. And if I notice, one of the things to kind of pay attention to here, if I did this correctly, is obviously this is a 40-degree line. This right here is a 50-degree line. So all of our temperatures in between here must be between 40 degrees and 50 degrees. So I see 42, 45. I'm good. Here's 44. 46 is between, and 49 is in between. And all the greater temperatures are below it. So I know I drew my line correctly. So next up is a 60-degree line. So I have 60 degrees in San Francisco, 60 degrees in Galveston, Texas. I have 60 degrees up here in Cincinnati. We got kind of like a weird trend going here. And that's it. So this one's a little bit more tricky. So if I take a look right here, between 58 and 68 would be 60, so somewhere between there. I did see 60 between here. Going on from Galveston, 56 and 76, so 60 would be in between there. Between Chattanooga, it kind of goes up. And then it's going to go across and down. It's also going to be between this 50 line and the 68 line in Hatteras, so it's going to be really, really close right there. All right, so now we're going to connect our lines. Goes up and over in between, just in between Hatteras. It's not actually on Hatteras because it would be touching right there. Okay, so that right there, we can label that as our 60-degree line. Next up is our 70-degree line. Grabbing my highlighter, I don't see any city in the West Coast that's 70 degrees. However, I see a 70 here, Chattanooga, in Tennessee. And 70 degrees would be between Hatteras and Charleston. So I'm just going to draw a line there. And 70 would also be between Galveston and New Orleans. So it's kind of squeezed between there. So then I'm going to connect this with a 70-degree line and label it as 70 degrees. And then lastly, I have an 80-degree line. I only have 180, which is on here. And it's kind of going through Miami, going through Florida. So I would just kind of draw a line going through there, and that would be my 80-degree line. And that's it. So now you have, as you can see here, kind of going on, my lines go from going from north to south. I can kind of see the trend. It's a lot colder in the north, and as I go south, it gets a lot warmer. Alright. Another thing you'll kind of notice here, if I take a look between Kansas City and Galveston, there's a pretty wide gap between these lines right here. Basically what that means right here is I do not have a large temperature gradient. And we'll learn about what gradient is here in a second, because these lines are far apart. I see the greatest temperature gradient between Richmond and Hatteras. Alright, and you're going to need that for a question that's kind of coming on up. Alright, so I'm going to stop the video right now, and then what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the discussion questions on the next video.